Hello, my name is Kent Fan, and this is my final project for Professor Barkashli's class, CS3A. So I have a graphing calculator with a menu that allows with a bunch of button objects and a text box object and a history object, which includes a bunch of buttons. So I can graph in Cartesian or polar. The mode would change up here to signal which mode you're on, and I have a domain and range and uh, a X and Y for wherever I'm at on the screen. So I can press the buttons on my history to bring up whatever's on my history. And I can right click and left click to decrease the density. I can zoom in and zoom out infinitely, but I would have to decrease my density to reduce CPU load and lag. So, and then I can zoom in infinitely. So I can also change it to polar and then look a bit weird. This one looks really nice. And this one's pretty cool. And I can save, which would save to the file. And I can basically, so when I enter expressions in here, so like x squared, change back to Cartesian, it would work, it would basically push the queue, push the string into the queue, the history queue, because the history object contains a history queue. And then I could just basically, and this wouldn't save, but I can still access all the expressions and functions, all that stuff through this locally. So if I were to close this out, this wouldn't save. This would still, it would load from whatever was saved the file. So see, that's back. So basically I can delete, if I were to delete, everything would go bye-bye. See, as you can see, all these were basically popped off. The history queue and all the buttons were basically cleared. And I can close this out and show you that it's been actually deleted and it's not been locally deleted, it's just gone. And then I can save new functions. Let's do something like that. I can save this and then I can close it, reopen, and it works. Okay. So I can input expressions like sine of x, a sine of x with inverse sine of x. I can zoom in infinitely, but the points would just scatter. Zoom out infinitely. This one's a good example because this one is basically like that because of the asymptotes. But for, let's use x because that one's, I can zoom in, I can zoom out infinitely, zoom in infinitely. And when I reach, this is just displaying 0, but it's a double and it goes on forever. Well, it doesn't go on forever, but it's still going. It never reaches 0 because I'm just dividing by 0.8 every time and multiplying by 0.8 when I zoom out. So we're back at 10. We can zoom, we can pan left, pan right. The only thing I wanted to implement was whenever I zoom in, let's say for another expression, when I zoom, I would like the screen to center to wherever it's zooming. So I would have to translate, but I was not able to get to that in time, so that's unfortunate. But basically, let me go back to, I can zoom in, basically kind of cheat to get back to the origin. Back to the origin. What else? So my expression, basically this goes into my text box, which is just using text is text entered or some event like that. If I remember correctly, it was if text is entered. It's an SFML thing. So whatever is entered into here, let's do like cosine. So we can do unary operators as well. So if we do that, I forgot what I was talking about. If you zoom, dang, I literally forgot what I was going to mention, but that's fine. So I can basically zoom in, zoom out. What else? Convert to polar. Oh, so how my text box works. So my text box, when enter is pressed, whatever string is inside that text box would get passed to a error checker, error checking function. So basically that would determine if that string is a valid string. And if it is a valid string, then my tokenize would take that string at face value and basically push. So if a incorrect string were to pass through, then there's no way that my tokenized part of the tokenizer would be able to handle that. So I'm basically relying on my error checking function to determine if the string is valid. So if it somehow gets through, then my entire program crashes or asserts. Either one depends on what happens. Depends on what happens exactly. So far, I've tried to fix all the crashes from invalid expressions, like this, just random stuff. Random stuff wouldn't work. And then I could just clear this queue, save it. Well, I mean, deleting already saves it, so I can just load it back up, turn it back to Cartesian because I don't like polar that much. Save all this and then load it back up, and it works fine. I can also reload them. Load all these expressions. Do like I can also do the gamma function. That's pretty cool. And then I could save it and do gamma to like cosine x times. I can also have coefficients like 2 sine of x. And that makes some weird thing, but whatever. We can save this. We have all of it. We can go back to whatever one we want in the history. And then I'm just going to end this video off with a nice clear. And then that is it. Zoom in forever, never. Alright, thank you.